Hello and welcome to Record Sports Hotline Live. My name is Daniel Caw and I'm delighted to be joined by the version of the Chuckle Brothers, Keith Jackson and Michael Gannon.
Writes all his own stuff,
Clearly.
Yep.
I'm here all week.
Certainly not paying anyone, that's for sure. Evening.
How's it going, guys? How's it going?
Wow, good start, Dan.
Yeah.
Good start.
Bloody hell. I thought that'd be a good one as well, but there you go.
Yeah.
Everything going well?
The Dangerous Brothers, more like.
all is well. Finally recovering from overtime shift at Hampden yesterday, which was good fun. Did we get OT in here in this place? I don't think we did we? Unfortunately.
But the inquest continues,
yeah,
Michael.
but the nuclear fallout rumbles on. It will do for probably the next 6 months. But it's all interesting stuff, isn't it?
The inquest does continue, and we talked about it, I thought, really in depth last night, Keith, but I feel like you can talk till we're blue in the face about yesterday's game. It was, again, just to reiterate, it was an absolute classic. One of the best derby matches you can ever hope to see.
Yeah. It was a crack. It was just, it was gripping, it was dramatic, it was compelling, it was exhausting. It was just everything that you want from a cup final, and especially when it's this pair going head to head. There was obviously a very controversial moment, which has become more controversial after the event than it even felt or seemed during the game. Of course, the scales fell on Czerny, and I think a little bit of sort of breaking news. I put it this way: I strongly believe that the new Rangers chief executive Patrick Stewart, who clocked on for his first day today, I think he's already made contact with the SFA, and he is looking for explanations, or an explanation as to why that penalty kick wasn't given. So there you go, right at the top of the show, and we can already say that Rangers are back at loggerheads with the sixth floor at Hampden. Kind of just another old firm derby day, Michael, isn't it?
Well, listen, the new CEO, Patrick Stewart, you might as well walk in on day one and know what's in front of you in this position in Scotland. I think, was it the phrase that's always used in this country, seeking clarification? Listen, I can understand it as well. I think we do need a bit of clarity on this decision. I think we need to know what was spoken about in the VAR room and how they came to that decision. I think it would be quite illuminating to find out.
Good luck.
Good
luck with that one. But they have got the capacity now to look at these things and explain these decisions. So I think this one will have to be explained. And they've got the little black box, haven't they? They've got the voice recordings. They can hear exactly what
exactly. So I think we do need to find out how this decision was come to, because it's hard one to figure out. I mean, listen, see at the time, see at the ground. I mean, as you know, at Hampden, the TV screens went off at some point. They don't work, so you're relying on the kind of site. The Wi-Fi is acting up, so you're not getting a live feed on that either.
It's brilliant, isn't it?
So it happens.
And National Stadium with no Wi-Fi.
Well, this is the thing, that the moment it happened, there wasn't a big kind of associated time either in the press box or in the stands, because we've got VAR. I think it looked like a close one. Oh, is it a free kick? Apparently, they're giving a free kick. You think, well, they've got the video. It's a black and white one. There's a line there. So
there genuinely is.
So
a line.
It's a factual decision. It's not subjective. It's not going to be, oh, is it or is it not? Could they went to the box? It's not. It's a kind of where it is in the pitch. So you kind of give them the benefit of the doubt at that point that it must be a free kick, because that's one they can decide quite quickly. Subsequently, you go back and see it and you think, wait a minute, there's more to this than meets the eye, because it does look like there's a foot on the line, which means it would be a penalty. I know there's a lot of debate about the first tackle getting made from Scales, and is the free kick given for the first contact, which is the side tackle. Then Czerny kind of wriggles free, and then he pulls him into the box. But it's when is that going to be the kind of the excuse? I don't know. I don't know where the whistle blows. You can manipulate the kind of footage. I don't know. I've heard various reports of when the whistle went. I don't think the whistle would go at the first contact. He's got to let it run. So I still think it's a penalty kick. So I don't think that's an out for an excuse.
It's just a strange one. I think you're right. I think
so we do need to know more, don't we?
Willie Collum has been very upfront about wanting to be more transparent, wanting better communication with clubs. I think the SFA should do it as a matter of urgency. Address this, get it out in the open. What was said. I must admit, and I was watching it on TV, Mick, I thought he was outside the penalty box. It didn't register with me. It was only subsequently when you actually look at the replays and you slow them down and all that. His foot is on the line.
It's this rule that especially with jersey pulling and pulling arms and all that stuff. If it starts outside the box, that's not where the offence is given. It's if they pull them into the box. If they continue to fill someone into the box, it becomes a penalty kick.
And on the line constitutes.
And on the line is a penalty kick. So therefore, that does look like a penalty kick. Just to try and pay devil's advocate slightly, do they judge that Chelsea's lost control of the ball that first tackle, and therefore there isn't an advantage, and there has to? I don't know. I don't see how that can be worked either. I'm only trying to work out where that decision came from.
You're absolutely right, but again, that's why it is important that we get the transparency on this one.
Exactly. There's too much ambiguity around it when there shouldn't be.
And we had Des Roach on last night, and his view, Michael, was very simple with this one. You look at it, that looks like it's on the line. You just call the ref over and you let him go to the monitor and let him make that decision.
No, the thing is, he doesn't need to go to the monitor. It's a factual decision.
Yeah.
So the VAR. You're right. Actually, it's not a come and look at this job, because that's subjective.
He's in the box.
If it's subjective, we think you've got that wrong. Come look at it. It's on the line or not on the line. So it's not even subjective. It's not subjective. It's a factual. So the VAR's got to step and say, no, it's in the box. It's a penalty.
Yeah.
You're given a free kick, so you know it's a foul. It's a factual thing. So the VAR says, no, guy, listen, John, it's actually on the line. It's a penalty. Go for it. So he doesn't need to go to the monitor.
You've just wiped out our resident referee, Des Roach, there.
I've done that before in this show. Not for the first time.
You're spot on.
So he doesn't need to call him over. It's a factual decision. It's not subjective. So it's VAR had to step in and say it's on the line, penalty. And that's as simple as that.
There's another one, isn't there, doing the rounds? And I was looking at it, and from everything that I saw, it just looked to me as if Diamonde has slipped. And I'd need to be convinced that wasn't the case. But have you seen the argument that Kuhn has clipped Diamonde and the TV cameras didn't pick it up? That's why Diamonde goes sprawling when Kuhn goes into the box to get Celtic's third goal. And that seems to be, the source of some raging debate this evening as well. That one for me, the angles that I saw on TV, all you saw was Diamonde
cutting across and then falling. So listen, again, it's one for the.
But it didn't look as if there was any contact.
But again, that will have been checked, because they check each phase and they see. That's what happens. Any time you've got a goal scored now, they check and see if there's anything wrong with it. So it will have been checked, and they decide that's not enough contact to be a foul. Which I could understand that one, perhaps.
I tell you what, see if Rangers use their own video evidence and they think there's contact with that one. Go thermo nuke.
It's going to rumble on for a good long while. We've seen it before in cup finals and big games, that these decisions these contentious moments will rumble on for a long time. But I certainly think that the Chelsea one needs a wee bit more clarification. Mm-hmm. I understand why Patrick Stewart would be his first day in the job, getting his login passes for his new email and all that stuff, and the first email he sends is to the SFA. Gonna please enlighten us on what happened in this incident.
The frequently used button.
Yeah, but listen, 3 weeks ago we thought that his first job would be to invite Philip Clement in for a chat and a handshake. So and a plant pot under the arm on the way to the door. So it just shows that his first day in work is completely changed now, because of the way Rangers have kind of came back in the last 3 weeks. It's been incredible, really. So his day one to-do list is different. It would have been a month ago.
Yeah.
So it's interesting.
I hope that this isn't the start, though, because I think Rangers have enjoyed better relations with the authorities, and you saw that in the summer when Ibrox wasn't available. Mm-hmm. The SFA, the SPFL, everybody kind of ran to aid them in terms of finding a solution, making Hampden available, getting it ready in time. And that I was so encouraged by that. That was when John Bennett was in charge, and it suggested that hatchets were getting buried and there was going to be a more amicable way forward. Because I don't think Rangers need to get boxed into this perpetual, statement o'clock situation where they're blaming everybody for everything. I think it's good to have a line of communication, and I'm not suggesting with this one that this is how Patrick Stewart intends to go on, but clearly he feels he needs an explanation. He's asked for it, and I think actually, in good faith, the SFA should oblige him.
Yeah, I think he's a serious individual, Patrick Stewart. I think he's, from what we hear, is an intelligent guy, a lot of experience in football. I don't think we're going back to the days of Rangers
picking a fight for the sake
I'm
of it.
not saying maybe pandering to people a wee bit by kind of picking fights with soft targets sometimes and a wee bit of rabble rousing at times to get people on board. I think that I don't think that's going to happen. I think this is different. I think he's entitled to say, listen, what happened here?
Yeah.
Listen, he's got a to-do list. It's lengthy still as well at the club, but this is an immediate concern. And I think, listen, it's not going to change the result.
No.
So is it going to down the line prevent future VAR controversies? I doubt it.
No.
This is here to stay, and we're going to be talking about this for forever probably. But I still think we do need to know how this one comes out.
I think just getting to hear the audio from the incident would go a long way. At least that way, you might not like what you hear.
Listen, you might find that it's one of these.
Explanation.
It might be one of these ones that pop up in a few weeks' time when they do let people know how it went. It might be the hands up. Listen, that was a mistake. It might be, and if it's a mistake, that's not going to go down too well either.
No.
But unfortunately, you can't put the genie back in the bottle.
No.
So not going to be any time soon.
Ah,
I put some comments up there, guys. People writing in about the penalty. We've had literally hundreds of replies after Des Roach's appearance last night. I put a couple up there, but they're all kind of saying the same thing. This one, no. Rangers is okay. Night and day. Difference was the two benches. Dessers, Dowell and Engels and Ida coming on for Celtic is stark. Rangers need another couple of windows, but positive improvement from the first derby. And do you know, Keith, the one thing that we missed, and I think it was, I'll give us a pass for missing it because it was such a mad game, but Rangers' chance to make it 2-0 with Bajrami.
the 4v1, four breaking on Carter Vickers.
Brilliant from Carter Vickers, but that should be
Superb.
2-0.
Yeah. I think there was a couple of mistakes there as Rangers broke. I think Igaman makes the wrong decision by playing the ball to his right. Because if he goes to the other side of Carter Vickers, I think he's got two coming there.
Yep.
Was it Hadji and don't know. But there was more going on and Carter Vickers would have to have turned as well, which would have made him less likely to be able to get across. I just think it was the wrong options. And then obviously Bajrami didn't execute the cutback. Great defensive work from Cameron Carter Vickers, but that was a real key moment. Of course it was, because Rangers 4v1, you've got to score. And if you do score, you go 2-0 up, and then you can adopt a very different sort of approach to the rest of the game and try and see it out.
6 minutes later, Celtic 2 up.
Yeah.
Celtic 1 up.
Yeah.
6 minutes later.
Yeah.
I'm not being Captain Hindsight, but see at the time, turned to the guys next to me and said, that's massive. It's a massive moment. It's a massive moment in the game. A 4v1 had to be a goal.
Yeah.
I agree with you. It had to go left. There's two guys to the left. He went right. Actually, Bajrami, the angle was actually made it easier for Carter Vickers to cover. Brilliant block.
Carter Vickers doesn't get across.
It was a brilliant block as well. And the touch wasn't quite on point either as well, but it was the wrong option. I had to go that way because there's two of that side, and the goal's that way as well.
By the way, you could dummy to go to the right and then cut back
had to go that
and
way.
get a shot yourself.
Yeah, but
there were so many options, and Igaman made a mistake with his option, and obviously Bajrami didn't execute the cutback either. So
had to be a goal. It was a major moment in the game.
Yeah.
There was a few right enough turning points.
I'm chuckling there because I can just imagine Ned and Bajrami in his house just now, laughing, saying, "Keith, just do a wee, just jink back, do a dummy, cut it back into your right." And he'd be like, "Aye, no bother, Keith, you come and do it."
If that's Bajrami, then he really needs to not take any offence, because I was talking about Igaman.
Aye.
Igaman that's done the wrong thing.
Yeah.
Igaman that could fake to go right and go left.
No, it was like a man's decision. We did the wrong decision.
Aye. Well, look, let me hit you with a couple more comments, because you mentioned Clement a few minutes ago, and there's been a lot of comments that seem to they're not really having Clement still, a lot of Rangers fans. Davey says 0-6 in all firm games, but importantly 2 have been cup finals and 1 a league decider. We haven't won any of them. I can't get behind the manager who's responsible for that. Cammy chimes in with, even though we have slightly improved the last few weeks, Clement still has to go. If you can't beat Celtic, you can't manage Rangers. A pretty simple equation. What do you guys think of that?
I don't think Clement's out of the woods. And you can tell that from the Rangers fans' reactions. As you said, a lot of the Rangers fans aren't having him. And are really concerned that the gap, and Clement made a big issue yesterday, didn't he, after the game, of saying that the gap's sort of minimal between Celtic and Rangers. That's kind of what he's got to say, but again, it doesn't fool anybody. Rangers fans know, yes, Rangers made a game of it, a real competitive cup final, and it made for a thrilling watch for all concerned. But you're kidding no one if you're trying to tell them there's not a gap between Rangers and Celtic. There's a huge gap, and it's a systemic gap. It's all the way up to the top of the club. It doesn't just involve the manager and his players. There's a huge gap between the two clubs right now. Clement's got to say the right things and try to convince people that he's in the thick of a fight. I'm far from convinced. That all said, the progress he's made over the last 2 or 3 weeks has been stark, impressive. I keep coming back to it. I don't know if he's done it by luck, accident or design, but it's happened. Rangers look better. They look a far more dangerous side in the final third than they did previously. Probably not coincidental that Cyril Dessers has come out the firing line, but there you are. What it does do is it sets up a really interesting derby on January the 2nd. And that's what I'm saying. I don't think Clement's out the woods yet, because see if he goes into that game and gets beat at Ibrox at home and falls further behind Celtic at the top of the league, he's going to have a real tough sell in his hands, try to convince the Rangers supporters that he's still the man best qualified for the job.
Aye, I agree. I think, listen, I think we sat in here after the Dun United draw, and Clement looked done, looked a goner.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the only thing that saved him at that point was the kind of vacuum, the power vacuum.
Yeah, there was nobody to sack him.
Nobody to sack him. I think if he'd been gone at that point, nobody would have been surprised. I think from that point to this, the transformation has been incredible, really. I mean, the last half a dozen games, the turnaround has been huge. I thought they were terrific against Spurs the last week, really good against Nice. Massive change. I thought they played well at Hampden, but I think there's a few caveats as well. I think Celtic didn't play well. I think Rangers played to perhaps close to their best. Celtic were nowhere near the best. So that we're talking about the gaps and all that stuff. I think Celtic have got gears there.
I've been his critic, Mick, right? But even I will say to that one, I think you're right. Celtic weren't at it. I don't think they've been at it since November
International
time
break,
when they were at their peak. But I do think a lot of that has to go down to the way that Rangers imposed their game on Celtic, and it stopped them playing through Callum McGregor, and it gave them different problems. And I think so that is actually a tick in the Clement box.
I agree to an extent, but I don't know if that way of playing against Celtic is going to work longer term.
Yeah,
I think it works in a wild and wet windy day at Hampden. I think giving Celtic the ball and saying, right, we'll try and win it an hour half and then break, give the ball to Charlie and break and try and get turnovers and score. That's what the first goal came about.
Yeah.
I think relying on Celtic being sloppy isn't a game plan. I think any time on the game in Hampden on Sunday, when Celtic did find their level and hit their gears, they put Rangers under a lot of pressure. And it buckled them, to be honest. I mean, 3 times it buckled Rangers. When Celtic got it together and got the passing going and got the speed going, Rangers couldn't cope. When Celtic were sloppy...
The first two goals really weren't Celtic at full tilt doing Celtic things.
Not quite. But
it's a deflected shot.
But that period of time, from that missed chance, the 4 against 1, the pressure was building. The goal was coming. Kyle with a chance before that. It's building and building. So they can pressure building. The movement is quicker. The passing is sharper, and Rangers couldn't cope with it.
Intensity.
Rangers caused problems when Celtic gave the ball away. So if your game plan is to force turnovers in that part of the pitch, and it works, it's good. But if you run into Celtic when they do find their levels,
they'll play through
that's not going to work.
They'll play through you.
They'll play through you, and it happened. They'll force defensive mistakes like the Proper and Raskin mistake for the second goal. They can do that. Also, it's a difficult going man for man against. We've seen teams do that. By the way, I'm not saying it's the same game, but the Celtic semi-final again, the Scottish Cup last year against Aberdeen was a very similar kind of game. That Aberdeen matched up man for man, and they tried to turn it over, and they forced Celtic and they scored 3 goals. They scored against very similar kind of game. And I don't want to be patronising Rangers fans going, they're back, they're good, they're on a level foot in the Celtic. No, they're not.
No,
They're not.
They're
There's still problems in that team. They played well enough at Hampden. I still think there's work to be done. I still think there's question marks to be asked.
Do you know what, Mick? It's a really interesting
That's in a kind of
point.
way European performance, and it worked then. Would it work? Can they play that way? Can they just hoof the ball up and say, right, so come at us and we'll try and pick you off in our half at Ibrox? I don't think you can play that way at Ibrox.
Interesting point.
It's just a lot going on, I think, at the moment with the way they played. And listen, again, I thought they played limitations of that squad. I thought they played really well. And you've got to credit the manager for getting a tune out of that, having a tactics that worked. A Rangers fan's going to put up with Rangers sitting deep and lump the ball at the
Because
park.
what you're essentially accepting there before you go into the game is that we know we're second best. And we're
Exactly,
going to set
that's
up
what I'm saying.
accordingly.
That can't be the long term.
Yeah.
So basically the plan was, by the way, lump it up, maybe they get set to turn on the diagonal. If not, they get the ball back, let them come in to the middle of the park and then crowd them out and hopefully get the ball away and we'll turn it over. Which is by the way, what the first half was as good a game plan against Celtic as anyone's worked out this year. But it's hard to sustain it. And when Celtic did click into gear and start breaking the lines, it caused a problem. And like I say, Celtic I thought were maybe 70% of their usual or capacity. Rangers were probably more 90 to 100, and that means that there's still a gap, and there has to be another approach found, I think, at some point. So I don't know, but it's interesting.
John in the comment section watching live on YouTube says, Cup finals nervy event. Celtic will be back in top gear for the New Year game. Surely Clement won't survive 0 wins in 7. See, looking at both clubs' histories, guys, I don't think there's any manager for either side that has failed to win any of the first 6 derby matches and survived.
I don't think
We're in uncharted territory here.
It's pretty remarkable.
We're in an uncharted territory. I don't know if we can. I took it on board everything Michael just said because it's very interesting, and I think tactically he'll need to be a little bit more aggressive and front foot in that game at Ibrox because the supporters will demand it. I also think as well when you look at the way they played against Spurs, and in the last couple of weeks they have. I think the handbrake has come off in terms of the forward play, the variations in the final third. They were so boring and easy to defend against and structured and rigid. And all of a sudden, Hadji's come in. There's a bit of free spirit about the way they're going forward with Igaman and Hadji. And yet they were that his tactical blueprint was quite structured again against Celtic. You wonder if when they go into the January 2nd game, he goes more towards what they have been doing lately, which is, guys, go out there and dominate them.
You could tell, right from the first whistle, you could tell there was a lot more confidence about them. I mean, the team that we saw against United, really kind of in their shells, really like nervous, really kind of uncomfortable. Just, I mean, even the game after, the St Johnstone game at Perth, it was a wee bit just nervy and jittery, all that stuff. They looked different. They did look as though there were a bit more about them. And I thought the first half, I thought that was good. A way of playing against Celtic as I've seen. I did notice that things like when Tavernier, he crossed the halfway line at one point, and he lost the ball and made his away, and it was almost like, well, I'm not doing that again. Right, so I'm back. The other end, the Kuhn chance early on when he got by Hefty again. Right, we'll not do that again. That's not part of the plan. So we need to be structured. They were really structured. There was a good European type performance. So it was disciplined, and then they had guys like, so they did get up the park. Hadji was involved and he was creative. I think Cherny has come on to a real good game. I think he's become a real standout. Terrified the life out of Greg Taylor at times. Just really effective. Igaman, I thought struggled a wee bit on Sunday.
He's got the hard shift. He's up against
difficult. Who had a real good game, didn't he?
Terrific.
But yeah, there's definitely. I think we're finally seeing signs that they might be going somewhere. We didn't see this 4 weeks ago.
Yeah.
But I think we're starting to see, right, okay, there is a bit of progress there. There's a bit of structure. It still needs a bit of work. It still needs signings. I think it still needs...
But I think
someone mentioned the bench, not good enough.
100% correct.
And it's a busy period, so it's going to be tough. A lot of work being done.
He's got himself a little bit of breathing space.
He's bought himself a bit of time. If he can get through to the Ibrox, the Derby game in the new year, unscathed, which by the way, again, I don't know if that's going to happen either. I think both of them will drop points. I think because this period is such an intense period, I think this point's going to go somewhere. Because as you see it, by the way, I've never seen two squads. Like, honestly, it was like come back for the Somme, limping off the park. There was guys in moon boots. There was guys in stretchers. There was guys with bandages on their head. Honestly, it was
casualty ward.
honestly the mix zone at Hampden. There was players hugging, reporters hanging on. I mean, I don't want to talk about a hug. They're just like guys that look battered and bruised. It's like honestly, I've never seen the likes of it.
It
So
took a
I
toll,
think
didn't it?
it's really, and that's again, it goes back to the squad as the emailer
It certainly
said.
does.
Rangers are going to get stretched. The squad, Celtic will get stretched as well. They've got a bit more depth, but I think points are going to go in the next 2 weeks. I think both will drop points before the derby.
Interesting, but again, that is a very good point. It was made last night. Obviously, I made it, so it must have been a very good point.
I did that at some point, Keith.
Aye. But
Well said, Mick.
you could almost argue that Celtic won it from the bench.
Oh, aye.
Because the changes that Brendan Rodgers were able to make
Yeah.
didn't necessitate a drop off in quality, whereas Rangers brought on Dowell and Dessers.
Yeah.
And
At
It was a needs must.
that point, Rangers had to settle for penalty kicks. In the second period, next time, both of them kind of did, but Celtic the one were kind of probing a wee bit. But by that point, I mean, Raskin and Diamandi who'd done the two of them had put in
Raskin
a
was outstanding. wasn't he?
superhuman
Covered every
shift. Poor Diamandi. I mean, got to the half time next time. The poor lad was literally. It was like it was just. I mean, get the boy off and get him wrapped up because he was just looked absolutely burst.
Wanted to wrap him up in a foil sheets and all that.
Somebody said, is he holding his calf or his hamstring or his groin or that? I think it's all of them.
It's everything,
I think
yeah.
everything's cramping up. I think it was a full body cramp at that point. I think had to go off. Raskin as well. I mean, I've not seen the stats, but he must have
it's
covered
monumental
some amount of
performance.
yards in that game.
Monumental performance.
So completely burst, and that's why you see Tati coming on and getting a bit of joy in the second half or next time period.
Yeah.
Engels coming on, who I didn't think was that great to be honest, but getting a bit more space. And Rangers at that point, they weren't next time they weren't going to be the ones nicking it towards the end of that game. I didn't think.
But I tell you, we mentioned the substitutes and winning it from the bench, and I'm going to come back to it because I still actually can't quite believe what I was watching there. Mick, you class yourself as a former goalkeeper. Can you believe that Cyril Dessers, who wears the number 9 in his back, has gone on there as a substitute and isn't ashamed of the fact that the goalkeeper has taken a penalty in front of him? One of the
Keith,
5 in regulation.
Keith, sorry to jump in, but Scott Cairns, watching on Facebook, had a great comment. A penalty? I wouldn't trust Dessers playing my ball in my garden. They end up with no Windies left.
Dear.
Sorry, Cyril, but aye.
But it's to me, it's unfathomable. And if you're an outfield player, you've got to be utterly embarrassed if you're not taking a penalty before the goalkeeper.
This is the thing. I mean, we're talking about Rangers seeking clarification with this award. I think they need to seek clarification. Why did he not put himself forward for it? This is a £4 million plus striker.
Brilliant penalty from Jack Butland.
By the way, terrific penalty kick. I mean, he must do that in training, but I mean, a £4 million plus centre forward who, am I right in saying he was top scorer in the Europa League a couple of seasons ago? Played in Italy, played in top level in Holland. Why is he not put his hand up for a penalty kick? I mean, it does think what's if he has basically said I don't want to take one. I genuinely think that January comes and says right, bags, Offski. I think they're at a point maybe with him anyway, Rangers. But in that environment, it's
almost a contractual breach, isn't it?
It is.
No, I don't want to hit a penalty.
Is.
You're a striker, mate.
Your striker's got to put his. I mean, it's like contrast. I mean, I think Callum McGregor took a penalty. It doesn't take him very often. Yeah. He's like, well, I've kind of got.
And fair play.
Can I got to take one?
Fair play to Tavernier for standing up and taking the first one and doing it expert as well.
I mean, by the way, listen, Ridvan's Yilmaz has missed the penalty kick. The kids had the stones to go up and say, the fourth penalty kick in a cup final, I'll go and take one. Young kid who is listen, fair play to him.
I think it's criminal, but you know, and this is the point, right? And I was making this point about how big is the gap. Celtic's mindset is one of the key differentials here. Callum McGregor is a born winner, never lost a final, and he drives the dressing room and he brings the others with him, and they all buy into the same mindset. See if you've got players that are going hiding in a cup final against your oldest rivals and don't want to take a penalty kick in a shootout. Well, that tells you everything about the mindset that is inside far too many of the heads of far too many Rangers players. And that is a problem. And it's another reason why we're talking about this gap. How big is the gap? How big do you want it to be? Because Celtic have almost a frenzied pathological fear of not winning. And Rangers, do they care? Are they quite... do you know what? We all had a lovely day. It was a great cup final and everybody had a nice time.
Yeah.
And we almost did okay.
Yeah, that can't be allowed to be the mentality. I said, I don't want to sound like Roy Keane, but it's his job. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's
what I'm saying.
I mean,
it's a breach of contract.
I mean, that's his job to put the ball in the back of the net. Listen, there might be a reason. It might have been that he was, I don't know, a bit sore or whatever it is. I don't know, but even again,
he was only on the park for about 15 minutes.
That's the thing. I don't understand.
And he somehow managed to look more tired than some of the guys that have been on for 120 minutes before him.
I don't understand it. I don't know what the thought process is behind that one at all.
Let me jump in, guys, with a couple of comments. Rangers, is he okay? Don't want to see Dessers again. Sums up his mentality. We're critical of Tab, but he stood up and took one. Butland did as vice-captain. But to put the backup left-back before you was shameful. I mean, that's a good point, because we're talking about Butland, but Yilmaz as well went ahead of Dessers.
That's what I'm saying, yeah.
You've got experienced pros there that you know, big earners. They're meant to take the responsibility in the key moments. And people shirked that one there.
Yeah.
To such an extent that is, you know, Easy Ozzy, whatever as he says there, you've got a second choice left back taking the fourth penalty kick, and you've got people hiding.
I mean, he's about 29, 30 years old. He's not a kid either. Yeah. I mean, he's an experienced European striker.
And by the way, you're fresh. You're just off the bench.
Yeah.
And I'm talking about Dessers and Dow here. You should be fresher than everybody else. There are people. If you'd asked Raskin to walk from the halfway line to the penalty spot, I think he might have collapsed before he got the ball, because he was absolutely done in. But Dessers, Dow, these guys should be fresh and full of running. Yeah. Where were they?
Yeah. It's opportunity, isn't it? I know. Listen, penalty shootouts. I mean, I don't. I mean, obviously not professional, but I don't know how. I think I'd be soiling myself in the middle of the pitch, shaking and all that. I mean, this is when you have the mentality to take one of it. So fair play for it, all you guys stepping up. But if you're a 30-gun-a-week striker, go and get yourself a penalty kick and put it back in the net.
Yeah.
At least give it a go. No, it's unacceptable, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Mick,
dereliction of duty. That's what it was.
Aye. Someone said that in the comments, but Mick, you've been called out in the comment section. This is very long from Paul Lynch, but he says, pipe down, Michael Gannon. They had no game plan and waiting, Celtic playing sloppy. Did you watch the game? Bajrami, Martin McGregor out of it. You're saying Rangers were 100%. They had a tough game on Thursday. Fatigue caught up with them. If Fatigue hadn't played a part, then it would have been a different outcome. Rangers also had injuries to contend with, and Celtic had a full squad to pick from.
A lot of good points there, particularly the pipe down one.
Listen, I take the point. I still think that's not. Listen, if what's the guy's name, Paul? He thinks it's all hunky dory now, then that's fair enough. But I just think there's still issues that have to be addressed. I don't think Celtic played that particularly great. I take the point about the European game. I definitely, you could tell it had an impact.
Yeah,
especially next time.
Of course it did. The extra 2 days in between is pretty big.
Undoubtedly going to have an impact on the performance. But again, I still think there is. I thought Bajrami did play a good job on McGregor. Mm-hmm. For a while, second half, I think he found it tougher. I think McGregor came on in a game. Yep. As I said, it's a hard plan to maintain for 90 minutes. And Celtic did score 3 goals. Mm-hmm. So you're now talking you need to score 4 to beat them. So I mean, so it's, for all it's saying that it's worked, well, they still lost 3 goals.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like,
well,
that's an idea to be Scodell. The patient going, the operation success, but the patient died.
Dead,
aye.
I mean, for me, this is the interesting bit, and I'm writing a column tomorrow about this. There's a danger here if you really want to believe in Clement, and Clement's telling you there's no gap, we're almost there. It's just a matter of details. If you want to believe that, and you can understand why some Rangers fans will want to believe that to be true, there's a danger that it becomes delusional. Because if you genuinely think that's the case, you're miles off. You're miles off. And you're not going to confront the problems that need to be confronted. Because, well, manager says we're almost there. And it's not the case.
Yeah. That's what I think. I think that there's been progress in the last 4 weeks, but you can't ignore the previous 4 months as well. But they have to maintain it. has to be maintained right up to the new year. They have to beat Celtic at Ibrox.
I think
Have to beat Celtic at Ibrox.
But I think he's got lucky in that he didn't want Hadji. Hadji's turned out to be...
Raskin and Hadji were in Siberia.
Raskin couldn't get a game for 6 months under Clement. He said that Egeman was nowhere near ready for first team action. These guys are actually the ones that are coming in and bailing him out here because they've given Rangers something different. And if they stay fit and they keep on firing
drops
throughout the month.
Tavernier, year, bombs him out, and brings him back and they go into a game. Signs proper, then bombs him out. There has to bring him back when there's injuries and stuff like that. So there's a few things that have been a bit muddled, and he's kind of found something that seems to work in that moment. But it's maintained over a longer period.
Danilo's another one that's coming in that feels as he's got something to prove.
He's had a big impact.
So if you add in your Hadji's, Egeman, Danilo, that gives you so many more options in the last third, and he's benefiting from that, and he's probably benefiting from the fact that these guys are absolutely desperate, bursting to show people, I can't believe that I wasn't at a game here 5 weeks ago. And maybe he'll benefit from that, and maybe because he does have these options, he's also got Oscar Cortez to come back in, although nobody seems to have any idea when that'll happen. You've got Tom Lawrence still to come back in. There are a lot of decent kind of creative influences that he can filter into this team. But I just think the ones that I've mentioned previously, they're the key ones. They're bursting to do it. And if they are, and you would expect them now to get an extended run right up until the Old Firm derby, these guys might just bail them out a little bit.
Before we finish, guys, we could obviously talk about yesterday's game for hours and hours. But this comment, if I can just find it, that would be great. Johnny C on Facebook is saying, Hearts are going to get relegated, aren't they? What do you think of that? Rock bottom of the league, lost the 10-man Killie yesterday.
That text is actually an Edinburgh accent, wasn't it? They're going to get relegated today! They're going to get relegated today!
Getting what I mean,
Text in Edinburgh accent, I like it.
Is that salt and sauce with your chips there, Dan?
Go on, do it.
Well, look, what do you think? Are they going to at the rock bottom of the league? What do you think?
I think they've got serious problems. And I think you could hear Neil Critch's voice and his words after that defeat to Kilmarnock. He didn't hold back, and rightly so. 10 men, Killie went down after 6 minutes when Robbie Dees gets sent off. It was the right decision, by the way. Now we're talking about VAR and referee's decision. Good call, correct. And from what I saw from that moment on, Kilmarnock bullied Hearts. And they scored, they could have scored about 3 or 4, more than they actually did, and looked well worth the 3 points. Now, given that Hearts are where they are in the league table, that is unacceptable. It's unacceptable for you to be up against 10 men and for them to fight harder for the points than you were prepared to do. Kilmarnock have been looking for a springboard all season. These players are out there obviously busting a gut for their manager. Where was the Hearts' response? That is a real source of concern when you're engaged in a battle at the wrong end of the table. If the Heart, pardon the pun, if the Heart's not in it, I'd be genuinely worried after that performance. But you would want a response, wouldn't you? Next time you're out there, you need to actually roll your sleeves up and try and prove something.
We keep waiting for Hearts just to waken up. I mean, this is the Hearts team that finished third last year by a good distance. Looks solid. I mean, just a strong outfit. I mean, obviously the Lawrence Shankland's goals have kind of dried up a wee bit.
Well, he was suspended at the weekend as well.
He scored. He also back on it the week before. But major alarm bells. I think he needs to get to January, and there's going to need some work done. I mean, I know there's obviously the new investment coming in, and the new fancy AI algorithm, Johnny 5, RoboCop set up and brought in.
Robo Scout.
It's going to need to work. It's going to have to get to dig out some diamonds in the rough because they need some help. I think what's happened is when teams forget how to score goals, it puts a lot of pressure on the defence, and they get a bit jittery because they know, well, we can't really make a mistake because we're not scoring goals. Not it's a subconscious thing. They get a bit jittery because they know they're not going to get many chances to score goals at the other end. So they get panicky and lose a goal, and it's panic stations because we've forgotten how to score a goal. And all of a sudden, this malaise is setting at the whole club.
And if you've forgotten how to score a goal, but you know there's one guy in the team that is the guy that bails you out, but he's suspended and sitting in the stand. Probably started panicking before they were even on the plastic pitch.
Well, exactly. Listen, you got to say, big result for Killie. Much needed as well. More like Killie. Nobody themselves this year. The European thing, I think, knocked them a bit out their stride a bit at the start of the season. Never really got going.
And they're becoming experts at playing with 10 men, aren't they?
That's another thing. That'd be driving down the kind of up the pole, wouldn't it? More fines and more.
Wow.
Correct skulls for red cards. But that's the result they needed, isn't it? It kind of needs something to spark them a wee bit. So we're interested to see how they get on. If they're more their usual selves from now on. But Hearts need to get... Actually, I think the honeymoon period is absolutely well and truly over. He now knows what he needs to do. Needs help. Needs 3 or 4 right good signings. I mean, I hate the kind of old cliche. We could do with some right mean, nasty players in January because this is no longer that kind of.
Do you think that they come up on the algorithms?
That's what I'm saying. Can you find me a big horrible, nasty piece of work? I mean, red Wandsworth prison trying to get somebody out there. I've got this guy playing for Berlin B team. He might do a turn. It's sorting. Boy, it's sorting is just coming out in January.
Aye.
Maybe
no, even Berlin's A team. Berlin's B team.
Listen, needs some nationalists in that team now because where they are in the league, this is going to be no environment for the nice stuff now. This is sleeves up. This is the old cliche. This is sleeves up and get out of this situation as fast as they can. Because the longer it goes on, the worse it's going to get. So they need help big time.
Guys, I think that brings us to the end of Monday's Hotline Live with Record Sport. Thank you very much to everyone at home that sent in comments and everyone for watching. Keith, Mick, as always, it's a pleasure.
Good. Aye. We'll get a wee festive pint, I think.
Yes.
Aye. Of milk.
Did somebody forget to tell Daniel?
Oh, I don't know. Move on.
Anyway, we'll be back to do it all again at 6 p.m.
Milk and go to Morrison's.
Thanks very much for watching. Cheers.
Cheers.